Rachel Rose here talking all things boxing, and I'm here this morning with Rob Hodgins, who I'm going to guess is either completely exhausted and has come down off the weekend, or is still flying high and probably hasn't slept in about 4 days. Where are we at? Are we somewhere on either end or somewhere in the middle?
A little bit of both, really. It was back to reality. I've got two boxes out in December and the end of November. Boxing at York Hall, so it's kind of like I haven't slept, still on a high, but yeah, still back. It's non-stop as well. So tired, but excited at the same time.
Yeah, this is a part of the boxing world a lot of people don't see is that actually, especially for coaches, if you've got a stable, you've got other fighters to look after, it just doesn't stop. You put one down, you got to pick another one up.
Yeah, straight away. So back into it. Sunday night, I was training a boxer and still on a high. So it's like we got back from Sunday. We left the O2 about 12 o'clock. Got back Sunday and straight back into it. So back to reality. Keeps your feet on the ground.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I'm a boxing coach. I coach at an amateur level, and I find that it's a very grounding environment. So
Yeah.
when I mean, obviously, I'm not living the highs that you're living, but I find that doing the job that I do, I get many highs from it, and I find that I'll be away on fight weeks, and then I'll go straight back into gym and coaching, and it's just like you don't have time to kind of stay on that high too long without kind of being grounded straight back into something, and it's actually quite balancing, I find. Do you find that?
I think it's like it's where you've got to enjoy the moment when you're doing the highs of Fab as well. And I used to enjoy it afterwards because you're concentrated on trying to get the win and
Yeah.
sticking to the game plan and all the highs and lows. But when you're back and you're coaching, I teach the amateurs as well, you're back onto it. And it's good for them to see as well, but you're
Yeah.
back onto it straight away and you're like, you don't have time to process it. So I think when I get to the weekend, a week after the fight, I'll be sitting there and I'll be slumped in a chair, physically exhausted.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the fight. As a fight fan, as I think most of us are when we get into boxing, is just it was amazing. It was a brilliant fight, very entertaining, so kind of the best of heavyweight. Um, Talk to me, break it down, how, I mean, obviously you got the result that you wanted, but how did you feel the game plan went? Did you feel it was going as to plan? Like, how did it work out for you guys?
I think Fab boxed very well. I see how Joseph was a couple of rounds ahead, but that was very clever by him and Andy Lee. They boxed the last 30 seconds of the round. They upped the pace, and that's where under the judges' eyes, you steal the rounds. But I watched it back the other night, and I think Fab was boxing very well. Joseph was hitting a lot of the gloves sometimes with the rounds on there. Don't get me wrong, he caught Fab, and Fab caught him loads of times. But I think the plan was going well, and I think with Fab, like, you know, he's going to go on in the later rounds. Joseph come in a lot heavy for this fight. I don't think he's been this big for a fight. He's been around that mark. I think he was around that mark for for Bacoli, but when he was training for Daniel DeBar. So we knew that to keep that weight on that, he could tire in the later rounds. And I think it was just sticking to the game plan. Obviously, I won't go through the game plan because there might be the rematch on the cards. Who knows with boxing as well. But to be fair, we on our part we stuck to the plan. We stuck to the plan. But with Fab, Fab sits there and he always finds a way. Even if the plan wasn't working, he'd find a way.
Yeah, and obviously he did in this situation. One of the things that I think is great about Fabio is his story. Obviously, coming from
Yeah,
the white collar background and not having the amateur pedigree, I feel like almost helps him a little bit. In the sense that and the only reason I say that is because I came into boxing without an amateur background because I've got a heart problem, so I was never able to have a proper fight career. But it means that I don't see things that other people might see, or I don't act in
yeah.
ways that other people might. And so I really relate to him in that sense. Do you feel like coming into each fight, he's obviously learning more and more and more as he goes, but are you deliberately keeping that rawness? Are you deliberately allowing him to have that almost like um brazenness that he hasn't been told don't do that and don't watch out for that, like allowing that space for that to stay within his game plan?
I think he's very unorthodox, and I think this white collar thing is, he's got his style. He's got his style, and it isn't an amateur style, but it's working for him. So I don't think if it's not broke, you don't fix it. I was an amateur coach for 17 years, and Fab's raw talent when he used to come and he used to spar the amateurs, it was different. They've not seen that. As you know, the amateurs very good on their feet, very fast, very quick, and they have to transition over to a pro period. and they have to start all over again. With Fab, in a way, he's skipped that. He's gone from white collar and he hasn't had to transition over. He's kept the style in white collar straight to pro and learned on the job. So, where we can look at his lack of experience, it could be like the new way of he's the way he's done stuff. It could be started to be like a trend, with this white collar going over to boxing. With that as well, is we used to we never liked the white collar tag because we knew Fab was very talented, but we embrace it now because his style is, no one's figured out the puzzle of how to beat Fabio yet. Don't get me wrong, he's got guts, heart, determination, and if you give him a whack, he's coming back with three or four. But there's a lot of skill there. Obviously, you know your boxing. The people that watch the boxing, he is very skillful. He is a student. He learns, and by learning on the job and not have to transition over. I think that's why he's done it in so that short space of time.
I think also he's changed the narrative. So, like you say, where white collar, because that was the only way I could fight was white collar,
Yeah,
because I couldn't get carded, obviously
yeah,
because of a heart condition. But I was desperate. I just wanted to do it once. It took 14
yeah,
years, and I managed to do it. But white collar was the way I could go, and and again for me, it was almost like you sort of said it with an apology, like
yeah,
this is the way I had to do it, because there was the thing. But actually, it's changing the narrative and changing the way that people can look at these this part of the world, like this boxing part of the world. It really can forge forward for people. And Fabio's been the person to do that. Obviously, there's been a little bit of controversy around people saying about the ref, saying should he have stopped it, shouldn't he have stopped it. Do you think there'll be a rematch between Fabio and Joseph?
Uh, I can see why it would be cool for one, but obviously our eyes are set on Joseph Park, sorry, Alexander Usyk, and I think we've earned that right to do that. With the stoppage, again, I can see it both ways,
Me too.
but as a referee, you're doomed if you're damned, you're damned if you don't. If you look at that as well, Joseph was hurt very badly in the 10th and went back to his corner, and when he come out, we noticed he was on shaky legs. So just because Fab didn't knock him out cleanly or make it concussive, does that mean it's not warranted stoppage? It was like 30 unanswered punches. Howard Foster did say, "Show me St. Joe." He was exhausted, and two, three punches later, it could have been. We could be talking something different now. Joe's got a family. He's a lovely bloke. He's got six beautiful children, and we want to win. We want to win in style, and we don't want no controversy. But at the boxer's health. Both Joe Andy Lee wasn't upset with the stoppage. He said it could be a bit early. Joe's friends and family. I could see where Joe's coming from, but what would have happened if that carried on an extra 20 seconds? I would prefer it to be 10 seconds too early than 10 seconds too late. But I do see where people are coming from that. I do see.
I, I I feel exactly the same as you actually. I on the night I completely agreed with the ref. I watched the stoppage back and I was like, okay, I can see why
Yeah,
people are saying it's controversial because Joe was still compos mentis. He recovered very well after the stoppage. But I was like, we're not the third man in the ring. They had to make a decision with what they were seeing. Joe did have stiff legs. So like I was very much like it, better, like you say, better early than late, because the heavyweight boxing is no game. I mean, even you could see how spent Fabio was at the end of that. He put in
yeah,
a great shift, but the pair of them they were tired. They were exhausted.
yeah.
They'd really worked hard through that. I mean, how's he doing? How's he feeling? I mean, he must still be flying high and
Well, he's
possibly
fine. Right?
against.
He's gone back into. He had a baby back in June, the
Yes.
week after the Portman Road fight, and he's gone back into baby mode. So usually after a fight, Fab is, well known for going out and celebrating, having a lovely time, going on holiday. But he's got a baby. This is good for us as a team because he's at home and he's doing the baby stuff. So Fab will be doing baby stuff up till next year. So he'll have a good well at home break. Chilling with his beautiful daughter and his beautiful missus, and I think that's good for us. It's good for him, and I think being a father is been great for him. It's settled him down. It's got him at home, so we're all happy for that. Usually, to go home and have some good quality time with his family.
Yeah, and it's that very grounding thing as well, isn't it? And it's just that sitting down, relaxing. Because I think as well, a lot of boxers obviously riding the high, but also they want to enjoy their life for a bit after being in
Oh, yeah,
camp, and
100%. Yeah.
and and it can, create a lot of that. But actually, it's good to kind of try and keep steady as best they can, as you see in a lot of sports people. Rob, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time because I know it's been a busy week for you. What can we expect next for the team, or are you not even thinking at the moment? You're just going to take some rest, wait to see what happens with USYK, and then make those decisions based on that.
Well, the Bulls are now cool. Fab's team, Fab will have a long hard rest. His team will go out and see what's happening with Usyk. I know there's been a bit of a call for the rematch, but our eyes are firmly set on Usyk. But we're not ruling out that, obviously, if it makes sense, but Usyk is the one that we want. I think Fab deserves that shot. He's earned it. That's what he was promised if he beats Joseph. We were massive underdogs in that fight. No one expects us to win. And now we have a chance. So I think that's firmly set in Fab's eyes. That's what he wants. And I think he'll have a long break. Obviously, it could be the early part of next year if that's fingers crossed for Jurassic. And I think we'll be back into it. Back. Obviously, we can still train. We train maybe a little bit in November, a little bit in December, but hopefully we get a fight date before the end of the year and we can go back into camp in January, full on, hopefully going for the undisputed.
What happens if USYK vacates for you
Uh,
guys? What would you like?
He will, as you know, he has to either fight Fab or vacate the WBO, with
Yeah,
Fab being made the champion and
yeah.
Fab needs to make a defense. Um, in a nutshell, would we prefer to fight Usyk and test ourselves against the best, try and solve the puzzle that is Alexander Usyk? 100%. It's the dream, from over 9, 10 years now. Um, but we're in a no lose situation. We get made WBO champion, and then there is other fights. Fab's stock is very high after that fight,
Mhm.
and he will be able to fight whoever Uncle Frank suggests, for that as well. I think Daniel done that as well when he won the title. He made a defense against AJ. He was given the title, I think the IBF, and then he made the defense. Obviously, that's not the way we want to go, but we're in a win-win situation. Well, okay, cool. We don't fight as a USYK. We're WBO champion of the world, white collar to world champion. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And obviously with Fabio, as you know, I think you've met Fabio. He will fight anyone out there, and he just wants the big fights and the big names, and to get as far as possibly as he can.
I think it's going to be, I mean, it's been already an exciting journey. I think it's going to continue to be so. Like you say, you're in a win-win situation right now. I mean, one last thought that I just, the only way that I can describe Fabio is like, he's not like many boxers that I've seen, because when he's hurt, he's more dangerous. Like
Yeah,
when Fabio, like it's bizarre. It's like it's like a feral mode switches on.
yeah,
And when you think he's about to fall back, he like, it, yeah, it's like a very primal reaction
yeah,
to being hurt, which is something that you can't teach. You can't teach that. That's something that's innate within you, where a lot of people might shield up. He goes forward, which is something that I really noticed in this fight with Joseph Parker, which was quite remarkable to see. And he really showed, not only did he have that primal feral ability to keep coming forward, he had the skill, he had the talent, he was able to box. And congratulations to all of you, because that's all of your hard work, your effort, your love of Fabio, your determination. So congratulations, a brilliant fight for the fight fans, a brilliant fight for everyone to be able to watch. I'm very excited to see what happens. I'd love to see another Joseph Parker Fabio Wardley, because I really like the first one. But also that, like you say, he's got a pick of all the top now. So it's only going to be an interesting and exciting evening now, because he's got the top guys to play with, as it were. So congratulations again. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Good luck with your other guys who you've got coming out fighting. And we're looking forward to seeing what happens next.
oh, thank you very much, thank you very much. The journey continues, and thank you very much. God bless.
You too. Take care. See you
Thank you.
soon.
Bye.